Hello, I'm Kathy Bissell. Welcome to the Golf Show 2.0. I'm here with my friend Gary Van Sickle. I think it's Turkey Sickle this week in celebration of our holiday. And we are going to have what Gary calls 18 ferocious minutes of golf talk. So our first topic is going to be, is live a hit or a miss? Gary, take it away.
Well, let's get ferocious then.
That's right.
Two turkeys on Turkey talking on Turkey weekend.
That's right.
Hit or miss? The answer to is live a hit or miss. The answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay. We don't know yet.
Yes. Well, they hit because they got more headlines and stories written about them than any 5 PGA Tour events plus Tiger Woods, which is unheard of. We just couldn't quit talking about them. That said, we weren't talking about their actual tournaments, really, or the players. We were just talking about the concept and arrival for the tour and all that. So they got hardly any viewership on their streaming services. So they're a work in progress. I would say for the world at large, they're a miss. On site, they were a hit, and attention-wise, they were a hit. So they're both.
Okay. For anybody who wonders,
what do you think? I'm wearing a golf glove because I just got done hitting balls.
I was going to say, anybody who wonders what the noise is in Gary's audio, he's in something called the Golf Dome in Pittsburgh, and the noise you hear are people hitting golf balls, which they'll probably do again in a minute.
It's the Robert Morris University Sports Complex. Got a couple of hockey rinks, and I'm in the Golf Dome, which is 100 yards across. I believe it's the largest indoor golf dome in America, but
maybe somebody will correct
they may have gone bigger, but it's a pretty nice spot to hit balls.
Well, on Live, I agree with you. They were great at getting headlines, but all of the headlines weren't necessarily positive ones for their organization, is my opinion. And maybe this year they'll figure out how to get themselves on television so that more people can see their events and see whether or not it's golf anyone wants to watch. I think there are only about 6 players on their collective tour that will draw any interest. But, in some instances, like if Tiger Woods is playing in an event, that's fine for everybody. And he's one guy. So it may work.
Here's an easy question. How many players on Live, who do you miss? Do they have anybody you miss? All right, maybe Cameron Smith. That's one. Bryson DeChambeau was a big deal 2 years ago, but he hurt his wrist and he's faded away. He wasn't even competitive on the Live Tour. And Brooks Koepka, maybe. I mean, Dustin Johnson didn't have a huge fan following, even though he's a really good player. I don't think the PGA Tour really misses any of those guys. So
I don't think it misses them very much.
No, I don't think they go on without them. They're without missing a beat.
Plus, I always say new people will show up. Nobody had heard of Scotty Scheffler a year ago at this time. I mean, he win in the fall, and nobody really knew who he was. And all of a sudden, boom, he wins 4 events in the Masters. So, I mean, he turned out to be a pretty good star. Well, it's moving on because we're ferocious.
Moving on, 18 good minutes. Let's go. Next
is Live ruining the tour?
They're definitely affecting it. I don't like the new elevated tour events.
And the reason you don't like them is
I don't like them because they undercut the other tour events. It's like Coca-Cola when they came out with Diet Coke. All they did was knock some of the Coke cans off the shelves and make room for Diet Coke. They ate their young, basically.
Yes.
So if you're the John Deere Classic and you're not elevated, you're going, well, thanks for making my tournament irrelevant, because now I'm guaranteed to not get any of the top 70, whereas before they would get some. So I think it's really unfair to the other tournaments. And you're saying, well, every 4 or 5 years they'll get it. But
yes, I kind of counted.
If I'm the sponsor, I would say, hey, you undercut me. I'm out. You stabbed me in the back. I would feel very betrayed.
If I were a tournament sponsor and I had extra money lying around that I could put into a tournament, or if the tour owed me some favor, I would be asking for that elevated status. But if they're quote unquote fair, to every tournament that isn't elevated this year, then those tournaments, some of them will be rotated out and new ones will be rotated in. And in theory, everybody should get a chance. Now, whether in practice that happens, I have absolutely no idea. We just have to wait and see.
Well, if I was the sponsor sitting around with extra money sitting around, I'd be giving some of it to my favorite, cynical sports writer friends who come in at my tournament.
Somebody who's a turkey sickle?
Especially if he likes turkey. Yeah, that's what I would do. Next.
Okay, is Tiger done?
He's not done playing. He might be done winning. Here's the problem. We haven't seen him since July. Right. So did he get a lot better recovering from that accident? Did he get a little better? Did he get any better? We don't know. So because he's Tiger Woods, I would say if anybody else, they probably would have retired. But as Tiger, Nota Begay says he thinks he can still win one.
And he wants to break Speed's record.
I'm never going to say no about Tiger Woods until he says I surrender. But right. I'm skeptical. But I would love to see him come back and be able to play some tournaments. But
so would everybody.
I don't see how.
Okay. Rory had a great year. He rose up and became a leader. Is he going to get some more majors this time around?
Yeah, he's the new unofficial voice of the PGA Tour players, and he did
a great job.
Did a great job, and he won the FedEx Cup. He won the race to Dubai, the European Tour version of the FedEx Cup. Although that only pays $2 million, which pales in comparison to the $18 million he got for the FedEx. Tells you what kind of shape the European Tour is. I'm sorry, the DP World Tour.
Yes.
And he did everything. He's number one in the world again. Looks great. He did everything except win a major, which he hasn't done for going on 9 years here next year. So
I know, but he got.
I don't know. He's going to have to show me again. He's playing great, but can he do it in a major? And who goes 9 years without winning a major other than Ben Crenshaw?
I don't know, but I think something happened over the summer, and he sorted out his head for LIV. He sorted out his head for playing tournament golf. He figured out what was important to him, and I think he's going to keep winning. I think he's even got a shot at the Masters, especially if it rains.
I don't know. I don't know about the Masters. I don't think he has that artist side to handle those greens at those speeds. But all right, Tiger Woods went 11 years between U.S. Open and the Masters, but Tiger Woods, no rules apply to him. He doesn't count. Next. Okay,
moving on. Tony Finau, he all of a sudden figured out how to win after all these years? What do we think of him for next year?
I don't know. Your average viewer is going, I can't believe we're talking about Tony Finau. He's a great guy. He's one of the best guys on tour. Just delight. He got his putting straightened out, and that was kind of the weak thing in his bag. So if he's going to putt like that, there's no reason he can't be a factor in majors, which he really hasn't been up until now. So did he may have taken a step up to the next level, but we're not going to know that until we play a next level event, which won't happen until, well, you would say March, but I would say April. You're a Ponte Vedra cheerleader.
That's right. I would say March.
But also, hey, if he wins the Players, then I'm convinced he can win anything. What do you think?
The tournaments he won had less full fields or less strength of field than
they're all good. You just said everybody can be replaced who left for LIV. They're all
they can. But I'm just saying, winning is winning, and it makes you feel like you can win anything. At least that's what the people who win lots of events tell me, and I believe them when they say that. So at least having gotten into the habit of winning, it will be easier for him to go to the events with stronger fields and feel like he can get it done.
He won one time in his first 180 some starts on the tour, and then he won 4 of his last 30.
Yeah.
So it's pretty impressive. Let's just hope in the off season here he doesn't, get complacent and feel like I've done it. I've done everything. I've made it. So it's just nothing on Tony, but it's just human nature to be complacent.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
After I won majors, oh wait, that was a fantasy. Never mind.
How about Scotty Scheffler? Is he going to have a season like he had last year? I mean, that would be hard to top.
Well, he came close. I mean, he was in the mix at the U.S. Open.
Yes.
And I forget. I want to say he was sort of in the mix of the PGA. I don't recall. I think the British he was not, but he was close to. Well, he wasn't really close to anything, but he had a great year. He could have won 2 majors. Matthew Fitzpatrick pulled it out on that last hole. He could have messed up that fairway bunker shot, and the U.S. Open would have been an entirely different show. Scheffler, I think he's the real deal. He hits it far. He has to watch his footwork. His foot when his left foot starts dancing around too much is when he starts yanking drives left and right. So, but he knows that, and he looks. I mean, I thought he was the best player in the world most of the year, and even though Rory snatched that number from him, I think if I was drafting a team,
you'd want him on.
If I was drafting a team next year, my number 1 pick would be Scotty Scheffler. How about you? Who do you draft? Who do you draft next year?
I agree with you there because he's
what?
I agree with you on that. He's first of all, he's got youth on his side. He's young. He just started doing this a couple of years ago, and Rory's is past the 3-0 mark. So Rory needs to really put the pedal to the metal here and get done what he wants to do, I think.
But what's really more important, the cranberries or the dressing?
Oh, the dressing, 100%.
Okay, all right. Well, we're in agreement on 2 things. That's a shot.
We can argue about pie. Would you like to argue about pie?
Pie is always good. Pumpkin's not in the top 10 for me. Sorry.
Me either. Cherry. I think cherry.
Cherry's number 1. Oh, what's wrong? Apple can be right up there if it's done right.
Oh, apple's very good. I like that.
Pie over cake.
Yes. Matt Fitzpatrick, is he a one-hit wonder, or is he going to win more majors, or is he going to win more tournaments? I mean, he kind of finally showed up with matched the promise. Everyone said for years and years what a great player he was and how much talent he had, and boom, all of a sudden he finally shows us by winning a U.S. Open.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned him because you may recall that immediately after the Masters, I predicted him to be the U.S. Open winner.
I forgot that.
I wrote that. See, I wagered on him, and my only regret is I didn't bet more. That's why gamblers are never happy. They lose, they're grumpy. They should have done something else. When they win, it's never enough. A guy could win the pick 6 at a dog track for $88,000, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "Yeah, great. The pick 6 purse is always $126,000 the rest of the year. I only got 88, so it's never enough." But anyways, I did pick Fitzpatrick. Look, he knew that course. I mean, it was an easy pick. He played the USAM there, I thought, and he had course knowledge that was helpful. But the point is, the whole week they've talked about how he worked out and fixed his swing, and he was kind of a short hitter. You may remember from the Ryder Cup, he was punching Judy at Minneapolis when he played. So he's got the length now, and that's a big weapon in his arsenal to get him out there at least among the average hitters. He's longer than average now, and he already had a great short game. So, yeah, I think you saw it. He's on that precarious thing where winning a major might have been his lifelong goal, and maybe he won one, and that's good enough. But I sense that
I think he wants more.
I think he wants more. Who doesn't want more? He's a gambler. He wants more.
I think he wants more tournaments, more. Victories, more majors. He probably really wants to win the British Open, or as they call it, the Open Championship. So I think he's probably. I think he hasn't won so much that he wants to win more and more. And we had several players who won 3 and 4 events this year who were kind of victory hogs, and so that left a lot of people out.
Well, that short game means he can be a factor in any tournament.
Yes,
and if he gets to, he's got some length of the driver now, and he gets it in play, he's, he kind of a Nick Price, or that's a bad example. I don't know.
He gets it in play. I mean, that's the thing with him.
He's a top 10 player in the world with that added length, absolutely. So
yeah,
good job by him. Tip of the cap. He was one of the stories of the year for what he did.
For sure.
He was the best home improvement project of the year.
Will Brooks and Bryson ever be relevant again? Will we ever see them? Will we come to?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have last names?
Yeah.
They're no longer. Hey, they fell off the map on Live. Live gets no coverage other than the whole concept. They aren't first name guys anymore. I mean, they are. I'm making a point. I'm allowed to lie. Bryson hurt his wrist. I don't know if he was great 2 years ago. He was the biggest draw on the PGA Tour, and now he was finishing 22nd in just about every Live event out of 48. And Koepka, had a knee problem, and he took the money, and which was smart. But he may have realized that knee might keep him from getting the double-digit wins in majors he thought he was capable of. So I don't know. They're off the radar for sure.
Yeah, for sure they are. And Bryson's confession about he never should have had that diet, and it's now starting. It has affected all of his insides or how his body works or something like that. I guess we'll have to see if he shrinks back down to the.
No, he is. He's already much looks more normal than he did. He's not the mutant from deep dark jungle of Africa anymore. He's normal size. So how's that going to affect his distance and all that? I don't know, but that swing and everything, he may have overstressed his wrist. You're always one wrist injury away from not being the same golfer on tour. And, you can ask Joey Sindelar or John Cook, two names people may have forgotten about, and a wrist injury was why for both of those guys, as I recall.
Well, it took John a long time to figure out he still had some bone chips in his wrist, and that's why he was having pain. And once they figured that out, I think he was in his mid-30s by the time that surfaced.
Well, it was a million years ago when our medical technology wasn't
wasn't as good.
Great. I mean, look, they were still using leaches to figure out, on John Cook. So it's not as effective as an MRI. I mean, leeches don't get me wrong, leeches are good, but they're not MRI.
That's correct. Would you like the leech or would you like the MRI?
Well, I think probably both. Just kind of a good backup for leeches. And if that doesn't work, you get a soothsayer.
Well, Jim Furyk has been out a couple of times with wrist problems, and he had wrist surgery several years ago, and he was out for a while, but I think he won the FedEx Cup after he came back from that. If I'm not mistaken. You can.
There's a lot of bones in the wrist, and you gotta hurt the right. You just don't know. You have to get it diagnosed. That's the thing.
Yes.
You got to figure out what the problem is before you can then try to fix it. So,
well, for Bryson's sake, I hope he figures it out. And in the case of Brooks, once you have bad knees, you just have bad knees, and
But it is stunning. It is stunning how we went from seeing these guys all the time and talking about them and talking to them all the time to they're invisible. Patrick Reed, it's like he fell off the face of the earth. And we don't see him. We don't hear him. These guys just went away, and I wonder how long before the golf companies who sponsor them are going, we're giving you all this money, and you're only being seen by X number of people a year.
Yeah,
you're not. We can get more exposure for our stuff on the senior tour. So I guess they don't need equipment endorsement money with those purses, but there's going to be kickback.
They probably have to honor the current contracts they have. And if there's any tweaking they can do in the contracts to reflect the fact that these guys aren't being seen as much as they were, I'm sure that they'll enforce whatever the step downs are in terms of what they're paid. But once those contracts are done, I don't think these guys get hired back by the equipment companies for any place near what they have been paid in the past.
Well, it's much like when you make the transition from the PGA Tour to the PGA Tour Champions.
Yeah, it's what
money drops off unless you're Phil or Tiger or someone. Well, Tiger's not there yet, but the money is so much less, and that's one reason you see Kenny Perry and some of these guys hanging on the PGA Tour. Is it's tougher competition, but just being on the tour, they make so much more money in equipment deals and such than you go to the senior tour, and boy, you're getting 25% if you're lucky.
Yeah.
I'm on the senior tour and I'm getting nothing. Well, I'm not on the tour. I'm just a senior. So there's a slight difference, but where's my NIL money? Look, amateurs can get money. Equipment companies, here I am. I'm available.
How about the fall of Phil Mickelson and his former good name?
Yeah, the question is, what the hell is Phil Mickelson's legacy?
It's blown up as far as I can tell. I just think he took something that a lot of people loved Phil, and I'm not sure they love him so much anymore. I think he put his foot in his mouth and under his arms and any place. He just really ruined his reputation. I don't know how you come back from that.
Well, even though he, may have been proven right about some of the money things that the PGA Tour is now giving the players, he was involved in he was one of the guys involved in the suit against the PGA Tour. So that was, where's the camera? That was one mistake. And then he made some bad comments. And then, he said, I think I'm on the right side. Well, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Darth Vader. A lot of people don't think you are on the right side, but, and then you have the whole about his image. He had to get that $230 million signing bonus to pay off his gambling debts. Apparently he was low on money, and I'm not sure, what his status of his family is either because of that. So he's had a rough time. It's all mostly self-inflicted.
Yeah, self-inflicted.
He hasn't come out of this looking good, even if he's been proven right on some things. He doesn't come out looking good. But I think most people who are Phil fans are still Phil fans, and all the people who were Phil haters, now they just got more fodder to hate. So it's like Tiger probably hasn't changed, but he, I don't know, and his facial hair doesn't work on him. He needs to clean that up.
He does. He needs to go back to his clean scrubbed look. And there are a lot of things that he could do, but being involved with LIV, he can't do any of them for 5 years. And by then he'll be 57. And so we just may not see him again anymore.
Yeah. He could have dominated the senior tour last year. Maybe. The way he played on LIV, I don't know, but in theory, if he came out and played 15 times, he might have won 8 of them. Who knows?
He could have made the PGA Tour champions a thing. He could have made it like must-see TV.
Yeah, but he still wouldn't have made as much money as he did going to LIV. So,
right.
I don't fault him for the move, but
I don't fault anybody for money.
I would suggest a visit to Supercuts in the near future.
Just super shaves, maybe.
And I say that, in the most congenial way. I like Phil. I like, he's a fun guy to be around and talk to. He's just, put himself in he dug a hole he can't get out of.
Yeah, I don't know how you get out of it. You have to do something extraordinary to get out of it, and I don't even know what that is. You'd almost have to win the Masters another time. And I don't know if he can. I don't know if he gets enough work and if he gets enough competition and if his skills are sharp enough compared to everybody else who will be there for him to be able to do it.
Well, you may recall when I did the my ranking of LIV Golf, which is based on finishes, and you get a 1-loss record based on how many people you finished ahead of each time and how many you lost to. Out of the 48 guys who played at least 4 events, I think he ranked 36th or 38th. Ouch. So there's only 48 guys. He's not even in the top half of the field in Live as far as results go.
The thing is that once people have their money, they don't have to.
That's what Tiger said.
Fight, and they don't have to fight for position. They've got the money. They don't have to win. They don't have to do anything except show up and hit balls. So you've lost the incentive to do something because you got paid in advance, and that's why the PGA Tour, despite what a couple of people said, doesn't have appearance money. The money you make, the money you earn.
There's two things equipment companies should know. I'm available. Ruin my motivation. Ruin my motivation. I dare you. And secondly, click on like, click on subscribe. We're on YouTube. We just click on the button. Nothing will happen. You will get no emails. Just click on us. And if we get enough people, eventually the threshold we're aiming for, I know it's high. We're aiming to make 17 cents profit. So
I have a new.
There's your shameless plug. There it is.
There it is. I have so many bright lights on in my house here that I can't even see the computer.
I'm glad there's one bright light on your end.
Oh, come now.
Are there any more topics, or was that our 18?
That was it. That was it. And I think we'll.
What's the worst food? What's the worst Thanksgiving food in your opinion?
The worst Thanksgiving food? Candied yams.
And what's your favorite item in the Thanksgiving meal?
Stuffing.
What?
Stuffing. Dressing.
Oh, dressing. I thought you said nothing.
No, stuffing.
Stuffing, okay.
No, stuffing. Stuffing. Stuffing.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
I'll go with turkey if it's done the right way. I had great turkey yesterday. It came from a restaurant. It was sliced super thick, and that made it unusually juicy and like, wow, it was great. And yeah, I'm not into the nobody ever has candied yam or whatever. Pumpkin pie. Who needs dessert? I leave room. It's all about turkey. It's all about the turkey. You don't need dessert on Thanksgiving.
I'd be happy with cherry pie and stuffing.
My favorite food item on Thanksgiving is, of course, would be beer.
Oh.
I drink as much as I can all day long. I don't because I actually don't drink alcohol, but it's fun to say.
I know, that's why it's funny. Okay.
Well, I think we've devolved far enough. It's time to end this travesty. Two turkeys signing off.